Love music, love life. This is Business Express. We're looking at the news making the business rounds across the country this morning, and would love for you to be a part of the conversation. So if you've got a comment, if you've got a question, you can send it via WhatsApp to 0809 4440981 or just tweet at Smooth981. And we're streaming live on our YouTube channel as well, so you can post a comment on there and catch the live stream. It's Smooth981 on YouTube.
This morning, our guest is Oyinkansola Aregbesola of Investment Research Analyst with ARM. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right, so let's pick up the conversation. It is just the 4th day of January, but it seems petrol will determine the conversation, how the year goes and how it will pan out eventually. So these marketers and NNPCL have been having a back and forth, and there's been counterclaims and all that. But there's a story from the article from the Punch newspaper, which is stating that NNPCL marketers clash over subsidy operator pegged at 1,200 naira per liter. So what do you make of this headline from the Punch and quotes from the oil marketers saying that's the right price for petrol to go?
All right, thank you. Okay, so on the backdrop of the removal of PMS subsidy earlier last year, pump price, saw pump price, skyrocketed to about 600 plus per liter, just below, that's previously below 200 per liter before the removal of subsidy. And of course, we noted that the implementation of the FX window unification policy also saw the naira depreciate, to about 750, and now we're seeing about 998 as at the first day of trading in 2024. And so that significantly affects, or should affect oil products generally. And we've seen that fluctuations in oil prices over time, due to that, FX instability. So it poses a strong argument actually that PMS prices should have accelerated further, than the current levels. And I think that's actually the reason why oil marketers are saying that they should sell for 1,200. But in terms of my own perspective on that, I can't really give a strong opinion in terms of what it should sell. They for whatever reason, they are of the opinion that it should sell for 1,200. But I can actually agree that it should be higher than the current price.
Oyinkansola, the thing is, they have a selfish motive for this because they have an interest, because that's where they can increase their margin. Because at the current price, if they get into it, it would not be profitable for them. Could that be the case they are making?
Yeah, like I said, I said they must have a reason for saying 1,200. But like I said earlier, it should be higher. But I don't think it should be that that high, 1,200. I don't think anyone would want to buy oil for 1,200 per liters.
Petrol.
I don't want to buy for 1,200.
All right, so let's go over to the NNPCL, because there's also their own side of the argument. We just looked at the side of the marketers now, what they are saying, and the reasons they are pushing forward why it should increase. But the NNPCL, there's a statement they issued yesterday, and that's coming from the Chief Corporate Communications Officer, Olufemi Shoneye, stating and reassuring Nigerians that there is no plan or any for adjustments of the price just anytime soon. What do you make of this? Would this calm down the apprehension amongst Nigerians right now?
Yeah, so I think firstly, I think it's good news, and like I said earlier, I don't want to buy petrol for 1,200, and I want to believe no one wants to start the year with higher PMS price. And according to the NNPCL press release, they stated that there's no impending increase in the cost of premium motor spirits, and Nigerians should disregard such rumors. And we should recall that earlier in October 2023, the group CEO of NNPCL, that's Mele Yari, had said that NNPCL regained its status as the sole importer of petrol into the country. And this was coming after the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority granted license to oil marketers to commence importation of, petroleum, which saw the likes of Emadeb Energy Services Limited import about 27 million liters of petrol in July 2023. However, Mr. Yari said that the situation had changed as licensed private oil firms are unable to obtain foreign currency for importation. He also added that NNPC had access to FX, and that makes them the only company importing PMS into the country. So I mean, with this backstory, the press release kind of gives some relief, because it means that we can actually hope for price stability in PMS at these crucial times.
Now, speaking about the disparity in prices between PMS and diesel, how would you describe that?
Okay, so in a free market, I mean, PMS really should generally should be more expensive than diesel. Considering that diesel is heavier and is less refined than petrol, which makes it cheaper to produce. However, this disparity between the price of diesel, which currently sells out for above, I think, 1,000 per liter, and PMS, kind of points to a possibility of an existence of PMS subsidy.
All right. Well, thank you for clarifying that. So let's talk about the exchange rate and how this affects the situation. Would you say the exchange rate at which the petrol is imported is a major trigger for these prices, for the PMS prices, along with crude oil?
Or certainly, in the context of Nigeria, for example, I mean the cost of importing for, particularly the premium motor spirits, is significantly influenced by the exchange rates and global crude oil prices. If you look at the value of naira against major international currencies, particularly the USD, the US dollars, it actually plays a crucial role. When the naira depreciates, the cost of importing fall, increases, as it takes more local currency to purchase the required foreign exchange for imports. And additionally, as a major oil producing country, you Nigeria is, basically tied to global crude oil prices. When there are changes in, these prices to directly impact the cost associated with importing and refining for. So if global crude oil price rise, for example, it tends to lead to higher cost in production and importation of PMS, and to subsequently affect or feed into retail price domestically. So it's accurate to say that both the exchange rate and crude oil price are intertwined, and they play key roles in determining the retail price of PMS in Nigeria.
All right. So, well, let us know what your thoughts are. The WhatsApp number is 0809 4440981. You can also tweet at smooth981. Tayo says, if the price of fuel goes up by any margin, some of us will start to have discussions with our employers concerning salary. God help us. I think that's the kind of conversation that should be had periodically, really.
I agree.
And Tayo's question leads us to the next on the tray for us this morning. What is the pass-through impact of higher fuel prices on the economy? Just looking at when you cast your mind back to the announcement of subsidy is gone statement at the inauguration. Link that up for us.
All right. So when fuel prices go up, it has a big impact on the economy, and one major effect is that it makes everything more expensive generally. So when fuel costs rise, we see transportation expense also go up, which would affect the price of goods and services across board. And it would also lead to an overall increase in cost of living for people, and makes it harder for them to afford things. On business perspective, businesses that rely on transportation like logistics, also face higher operational costs. It can also force them to raise their price to cover the increased expenses, which would also be like a pass-through effect on consumers at the end of the day. And industries that are using fuel as a key input, for example, the manufacturing and agricultural sector, would also feel the pinch with higher production costs, which would result in them adjusting their prices, and affecting, and also would affect their overall competitiveness. Now, for consumers, higher fuel price would mean that they have to spend more on transportation, and it leaves less money for other things, leading to reduced spending on non-essential items. For example, I cannot be thinking about buying an iPhone 14 or 15, for instance, when the cost of transportation is skyrocketing. And the pass-through effects of higher fuel prices can also impact income distribution, which would hit lower income households harder than middle income or higher income earners. It really affects them acquiring cost of essential goods and services generally.
Okay, this takes us to a few questions are in for you this morning because they are also part of the show. This one is from Francis. It says, "Is there still VAT on diesel supply?" That's from Francis. And let's see if you can link this up to El Como's comments also. Oyinkansola, do you have any insight into how to decouple our economy from the USD and other FX currencies? The exact issue affecting the petroleum industry affects electricity.
Okay, sorry, can you repeat the second question?
Now, it's from Elcoma, and it says, "Do you have any insight into how to decouple our economy from USD and other FX currencies? The exact issue affecting the petroleum industry affects electricity."
Thank you. Okay, so for the first question, I think the federal government had removed VAT on diesel earlier in October 2023 for about 6 months. So that is still currently in place. There's still no VAT on diesel. So in terms of the second question, so I will try and rephrase so that I don't know, probably maybe I understand your question. So it is looking at the relationship between USD and fuel prices.
Yes, because now you know
Okay.
that the reason why what the marketers are saying they would need FX to get to make the imports. And also knowing that you mentioned NNPC that said they've regained the sole status now. It's like they are the only ones bringing in. So that's use that as a background.
Yeah, so their claim, so basically that means their claim is not valid. I mean, given what the group CEO of NNPC had said earlier, last year, being them being the sole importer of petroleum products due to FX challenges. So at the moment, they're basically the only one importing, and they are the same people that are giving us this assurance that we should not expect any increase in fuel costs. So I don't think the stand of the marketers is valid at this point. Seeing that NNPCL is basically the only one at the moment, importing for, so that the ones using FX, right?
Okay, let's Elcomo touched on electricity. So the government also said there seems to be some subsidy also in electricity sector. If you do that to petrol, can we have the same thing happening to electricity and not have, spiral effects?
All right. Okay. So yes, there's still some form of subsidy on electricity, right? And there are talks around removing that, but we've seen them put a pause on that for at the moment, due to what's currently happening, the fact that we've removed for subsidy, for example, and also the FX unification policy. So I mean, it is yeah, by and large, I would say that the government is considering, the hardship that this would, put on Nigerians, and so that's why they are putting a pause on this. So I would say that it's a good one from the government, and then the fact that they are not, thinking of removing the electricity tariff anytime soon due to the current state of things.
This last one is on your tray, and this has to do with, we know the Dangote Refinery said the last time we checked, it's got about 3 million barrels of crude oil delivered to it. And then all this, we had also the Port Harcourt Refinery. It seemed to, they have the flame burning already. So speak to us how eventually all of this would add up to solve our energy crisis in terms of PMS.
Okay, so firstly, the refinery contributes to the country's economic self-sufficiency, by reducing the need for importing refined crude oil. So that Dangote refinery coming on board is actually a good news, and it could move towards greater domestic production. And uh, the issue of FX is still not clear. I mean, Dangote Refinery is a private company, that is seeking to make profit of, definitely, but we hope to see potential, substantial savings in foreign exchange reserve. I mean, if we could get to import, if we could get to have this refined product or most of them in local currency, it would help to save our foreign exchange reserve, right? And that would positively influence the country's balance of payments and contribute to a more robust economic position. And in terms of employment generally, yes, like I said, it's Dangote Refinery is a private ownership, is a private owned, establishment, but it will also need people to run this to run the company, right? So we should expect employment to increase in terms of them hiring more workers for its operation and basically providing employment opportunities to people, especially people that surrounding the refinery. And the economic ripple effect extends to industries supplying materials and services to the refinery. So this mutually beneficial relationship would support the growth of businesses in the supply chain rather, and aligning with the private company's need for reliable and efficient inputs. So like I said earlier, while the refinery is a business venture with profit oriented motives, it would also it would actually impact on infrastructural development generally. From a fiscal perspective, the Nigerian government also stands to benefit through increased revenue streams in terms of tax and royalties and other fiscal mechanism related to the refinery's operation, which would contribute to public finance and support various government initiatives and services.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Oyinkansola, Aregbesola, for joining us this morning.
Thank you very
And
much.
that's it
Happy
for
New Year.
business. Thank you and Happy New Year